A smoke of Richmond city workers and activists rallied outside the Contra Costa County DA's office, demanding he bring charges against one of Richmond's top officials.
I think this is a classic case of public corruption that's systemic.
City worker Stacie Plumber stepped forward last year, alleging Richmond's assistant city manager, head of human resources Leslie Knight, was bilking the city out of big bucks by using city hall offices to run a personal gift basket and party favoriteness, among other things.
City workers were making these things. Didn't want to, but she's the assistant city manager, human resources director, so you don't say no. When I said no to actually working on her marketing materials, I was shifted around, denied promotions, and everybody knew that, so they didn't want that to happen to them.
Okay, and what else did you observe? What else did you bring out in the open? That
she got a car allowance in addition to taking the city car. And so a car allowance for 8 years is about $43,000 in addition to having the city car, and she only had to pay restitution of $10,800. So the taxpayers are still at a loss.
Wow. So you came forward, and what else? I mean, is there anything else you want that you brought to light?
This is embezzlement and misappropriation of funds, and that's what I quoted in my 59-page complaint when I took it to the DA's office and they said that they would investigate. They were investigating, but something happened. And I believe it's due to the conflict of interest because we have 2 deputy DAs on the City of Richmond payroll, but that's unacceptable to the taxpayers.
Stacie, what do you think of what do you think of all this?
I think this is a classic case of public corruption that's systemic, and people need to stand up and take their city and their county back. We elected these people. They need to do the right things for the taxpayers.
Okay, and what has happened to her? She recently resigned.
She recently resigned with her fat PERS lifetime pension.
What do you think of that?
It sends a message to other people that as long as they get close enough to retirement that they can embezzle and misappropriate and leave, fine. And that's not okay. That's taxpayers' money. We're entrusted with the taxpayers' trust. And we violated that.
And she wasn't fired. I mean, this came to light.
She was not fired. The city manager in his letter said he knew of some of her wrongdoings, and he looked over them. So it makes him negligent and complicit.
What do you think should happen to her?
She should be investigated and prosecuted. This was just the tip of the iceberg. These were just small things that I show. I didn't have proof of everything else. There's other things that need to be investigated. The city needs to be made whole.
Okay, and then he put out a letter, very nice, candy-coated. I mean, what did it say?
Well, he was saying how he nominated her for an award for the the best assistant city manager of the year, but he didn't say that that came with the all-expense-paid trip to Australia. So that's why she got it. And during the time she was asking for the money to go to Australia, she was also in labor negotiations, negotiating her city manager's contract as his subordinate, making him one of the highest paid city managers in the Bay Area. And it's in the documents of the city council agenda.
Watching the head
how do you feel about all this? How does it make you feel?
Disappointed, outraged. It's hard to be a public employee in an environment where you know the system does not actually protect you and you don't actually serve the public. It's too self-serving there. It needs to be corrected.
When you came forward, what did you think would happen?
Well, originally I just told the city manager. I thought he would call me into the office, talk to me about it, and have everything investigated and it would be fixed. That didn't happen. And that was overwhelming to me to see that was the case.
But eventually they did launch an investigation.
After I contacted the DA's office, the Office of the Inspector General, the Grand Jury, the FBI, and the State Attorney General's office, and let them know that I had contacted them. Then they launched an internal investigation. And originally the investigation was going to be done by people in the Human Resources Department.
And part of this investigation showed that she actually directed somebody to look at your email, right? Tell me about that.
She directed the now Human Resources Director to hack the email.
Folks, join us.
The now
Join us.
appointed Human Resources Director was her subordinate, and she was the one who hacked my emails.
Well, you think some discipline should be done there too, or you?
Yes. How can you be the Human Resources Director and partake in retaliation when you're supposed to uphold and protect employees and the rules?
Okay, so you're still working there?
I'm still working there.
and she is being she's retiring. Is they throwing
She's
her a party,
retiring.
or are they doing something nice for her?
Probably.
Party, but she's not invited.
They did something nice already. They did something nice already.
Big pension.
Okay, so what is your message to the DA? You're here
The
today.
DA needs to investigate and prosecute and restore public trust to the city of Richmond.
You think this is criminal? I mean, you want criminal?
Criminal charges, embezzlement and misappropriation are criminal charges. And in my 59-page complaint, I highlight exactly what she did wrong and the laws that say they were violated.
Okay, now is she going to pay any of this back? I heard that she was paying some of it back, right?
$10,800. But when you actually add it up and through civil prosecution, she would owe treble damages, so 3 times the damages. And that would be $1.8 million if the city was made whole.
So the city's giving her a little slap on the hand, right?
Not really even a slap on the hand. Retirement is a lifetime pension, is not a slap on the head.
You think if it had been you or any of the other workers, what do you think would have happened?
I'd be down in the courthouse right now. I'd be fired and being prosecuted and probably behind bars right this second.
The city launched an independent investigation which substantiated the claim. Investigators also concluded Knight was both collecting a car allowance and using a city car at the same time.
That she was taking a car allowance and utilizing a city car is just unacceptable.
Mayor Gail Buckland says she's highly disturbed by the findings and not so certain the city's did out the proper punishment.
Memo said that she spent 10 to 30% of her time on internet shopping during business hours, but it didn't affect the way she conducted business. Now, if I did 10 to 30% of my time at the city of Richmond doing internet shopping, I would never be working for the city. I would be fired in a minute. Wouldn't even be a question. Unbelievable. That's the type of justice we have in the city of Richmond. And Mr. Lindsay's been complacent in the whole matter. And he should be fired along with her. Oh, he knew what was going on. He allowed it to happen.
While many believe Knight should have been immediately fired, City Manager Bill Lindsay didn't terminate her. Instead, Knight recently resigned after Lindsay sent her a warning letter.
We landed in a good place in terms of her own independent decision to resign.
Lindsay acknowledges he made some mistakes of his own by missing some red flags that something was amiss.
There was an appearance of things not being work-related, and I think that what I learned from that is that really I should have stepped in at that point.
Now others say it's time for the DA to step in. They think Knight's actions could be criminal.
My name is Charles Smith. I live in Richmond, have for 40 years.
And do you work for the city of Richmond? Are you with the union, or do you?
I was with IFPTE Local 444, East Bay Mud. I retired 3 years ago, and I am a community activist and have been for many, many years.
Charles, tell me what you think of this.
I think it's absolutely outrageous. We had a similar scandal that Bill Lindsay, the current city manager, was brought in to clean up. That was when we had a city manager named Isaiah Turner, and shortly after he retired for medical reasons, the city came up $35 million short and damn near went into bankruptcy. They had to lay off over 200 SEIU workers, they had to cut back on the library hours, and they had to close one fire station. We thought when Bill Lindsay came in here, who brought Miss Knight in here, that things were looking up, and they have been until now, when we found out that this woman had been misappropriating funds, running a private business out of City Hall, using city facilities, not declaring that she had a business, so for a business license, and a variety of other things that she's done, like not working 10 to 30% of her time each day because she was doing that time working on her business. So if you really ran up the figures, you'd be a lot higher than $37,000. That's just for the car allowance that she's been robbing for the last 7 years. She's what some people call a double dipper, except it's illegal in her case.
And what do you think should happen on that?
Well, that's why we're here today. We want to see her prosecuted. We know that any union member, in fact, we have examples of it, that were guilty of minor crimes would be fired. And ironically, this is the woman who would fire them. That was, or continues to be, Leslie Knight's job, hire and fire. And she fired a police officer one time for taking gasoline that he shouldn't have been taking, I guess for his private use. He did get his job back, but she had no problem firing him. But for 7 years, she's been stealing it to the tune of $450. I mean, literally within a year of working there, being hired there, she started robbing the city.
What do you think of that, Charles?
What do I think of that? Mr. DA, would you please come to Richmond and prosecute Ms. Knight? Thank you.
Okay, again, how does it make you feel personally?
I live in that city. I love the city of Richmond, and I feel terrible. I feel terrible because we're a working class city, and this is going to hurt us. That money should be returned. There should be no double standard in the city of Richmond.
Okay, and what do you think of the way the city manager has handled all this? Bill Lindsay?
I think Bill Lindsay has covered it up, and I think he covered it up because, and I know that he's done a lot of stuff to stonewall the investigation. He didn't put Ms. Knight on paid administrative leave when the charges were brought forward. That compromised the investigation. He refused to show the report that the city paid for, cost us over, I think, $65,000. He refused to show it to the city council. He refused to show it to the public. He refused to show it to the press. Why? And I believe that the reason he did that is because he's implicated at some level in this whole scandal, and he did not want that to come out. If the DA prosecutes Ms. Knight, which I hope he will, chances are she will start to talk about his role in this scandal. If nothing more, just to say the fact that he did know that she was running a business at the City Hall. You
think he should have taken swift steps to nip this in the bud, right? I mean, fire.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I worked at East Bay Mud for 26 years. I was a chief steward for 12 of those years. I know what a well-run business would do for either managers or rank and file members. If something this big came out at East Bay Mud, the very first thing they would do is they'd call that person in. They'd take their keys, their ID card, and they'd have a security guard walk them out the front door.
So what should have happened in this case?
Exact same thing. Bill Lindsay should have had that woman in his office. He should have taken her ID, he should have taken her keys, and he should have had a security guard remove her and keep her on paid administrative leave until the investigation was completed. And he did not do that, and that is standard operational procedure, and he must know that.
And then he should have, once he got the results of the investigation?
I personally feel that he should have turned it over to the police or to the DA.
And to think that he allowed her just to resign?
He wouldn't have even allowed her to resign. His first act was to say, she'll pay the money back and that's it. But because of public pressure like this, we forced him to get her out of that city. So I personally feel he made a deal with her. And the deal was, you go peacefully, you can retire, there won't be any charges or anything. So then there came a glowing announcement from Bill Lindsay saying, this woman has done a wonderful job, she's been a credit to the city, and she's now going to retire as of July the 1st, and she's also going to help get the city in order before she retires. Not one mention of what we're standing here talking about, not one. And everybody knows. And furthermore, the Richmond City Council has ignored this scandal. They've ignored it just like they did it when Isaiah Turner was in there. They ignored the stuff that he was doing. In result, we practically went bankrupt. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm upset. That's why these people are upset.
Hello, my name is Sam Casas. I'm a City of Richmond employee for more than 5 years. And also I'm the chapter president of Local 21, which represents professional technical engineers for the city of Richmond. You know, I came to a city that has a motto of pride and purpose. And I gotta tell you, it's shameful to see that the things that have been happening with what Leslie Knight has been able to get away with. Because, like we've said already, any other employee would have been fired, would have been suspended, would have been put on administrative leave.
Immediately.
So what we have here is a double standard. It's day and night.
Oh, very good, right.
Day and night. That's a double standard.
Right.
Us, who are who want to be transparent love the day, love the light to be shone, because the taxpayers deserve to know what's happening to their money. And we, as stewards, as civil servants, we are stewards to the taxpayers' money, and we have a fiduciary responsibility. As a manager, I'm told that time and time again. How is it that Miss Knight, who's now there's a double standard with her, that she's able to get away with not only having a trinket business, now she's also the assistant city manager, human resource director, and a not so successful businesswoman all at the same time? That's called double dipping. So there needs to be a change at City Hall. I think we have not gotten the leadership that we deserve. I think people need to question the city manager, because he was her boss. And for him to say he's made a mistake, what about all the other mistakes that have happened to people who've been fired, who don't have an opportunity to come back to the city because of supposed crimes that they've committed? That she, Miss Knight, prosecuted those individuals. How did he let them get away and take their retirement? How does he let them get prosecuted and hurt at her expense while she was doing the exact same thing? Either he knew about it and he's an accomplice to her crimes, or he did not know about it, then he's incompetent. You cannot have it both ways, Mr. Lindsay. You need to talk to the residents, and you need to be able to tell them how you're governing the city. Just like when we're under budget, we're always having to make sure we're spending the taxpayers' dollars correctly. Why is it for the human resource director, she was double dipping? The problem is that the city of Richmond residents are supposed to have, and they should be demanding, a detailed budget. They should have a detailed budget. What they're giving to the residents and to the city council and to the mayors are summaries. If you were to drill down and see all those details, you would have seen car to Miss Knight and a car allowance. Residents could have looked at that budget and said, we have some double dipping going on here. That would have stopped. So to regain public trust, we need that sort of transparency, accountability, and we need leadership. So I'm grateful for everybody to come here today, but the DA, Mr. Peterson, please, you work for the residents of Contra Costa County.
Right.
We're talking about $1.8 million she owes. That's money that cities and counties are hurting for. We're laying off employees because we don't have enough revenue. We're having to cut down services because we don't have enough revenue. Go after Miss Knight, collect that revenue for the taxpayers of Richmond and Contra.
Richmond deserves justice. The taxpayers need to be made whole.
Way too many.
Public employees and city staff need to represent the public they serve. This is why we're here. We need the DA to prosecute, to investigate and prosecute Leslie Knight.
You want to speak?
Take it easy, Mike.
Yeah, I got it. Well, all I want to say is that if justice isn't served here, then nobody in the city of Richmond should be having to pay taxes. If they allow the second in command to steal for 7 years, to fire people for less offense, to continue down that road, the city of Richmond residents ought to stop paying taxes, period. And make Bill Lindsay and the city council pay attention to what they're supposed to be doing. And that's the fiscal responsibility of maintaining the tax dollars for the city services. That's what has to happen. For Mr. Bill Lindsay to have no complicity, or I shouldn't say complicity, no
Compunction
is bad news for the city, because he walked into that office, he saw what was going on, and he did nothing.
That's right.
He did nothing. And then his little lame response was, well, I did see something, and I guess I should have done something
Trinkets.
about the trinkets. And his other thing was, well, she didn't make money off her business. She gave away the trinkets to employees. Well, you don't need a business to give away trinkets.
No, you don't.
You don't need a business being run out of the city's offices, with the city's website, with the city's phone number. You don't need to have that if you're giving away free gifts to your employees.
That's right.
And the fact that he said she didn't make any money just tells us that she's not a very good business person.
Tell it the way it is. Tell it the way it is.
And I would like to know where the Board of Equalization is, the state is on this. You own a business, and we know that people paid for some of those trinkets. Where's her filing of taxes to the state? Why isn't Mr. Peterson, the DA, after all of this? Because this is criminal in so many different ways. We need the DA to do his job.